So today we're going to try to answer the question, how well does the Adidas Adios Pro 3 age? And to do that, let's get inside and go find a pair. The Adidas Adios Pro 3 represented at the time Adidas's latest and greatest in terms of that super shoe and really giving you something that can go the full distance. Now, the shoe turns 3 years old this year, and I know some of you already over the shoe and have gotten yourselves a pair of the Pro 4s, but 700 to 800 kilometers later, we're just going to chat about how the shoe has aged in terms of the wear and tear. Taking a closer side-by-side view, it's the first part is that's quite clear. When you take a look at the intensity of the reds in terms of the left shoe in comparison with the right, it's very clear that the red intensity has definitely grown and faded over time, which is to be expected, nothing too significant. But of course, the big question is in terms of the fabric that, as you see here, has eventually get a hole popping out in terms of the shoe overall. But I mean, overall, nothing really too major except for that in terms of overall wear and tear. And I mean, just from a side view point of view, I mean, like the discoloration is to be expected. This is more of an ice white, sole. So of course, as you go through the course of a run, you're definitely going to struggle to maintain color on that section of the shoe. And I mean, just like from a side view, and if we just bring them underneath, this is probably the hardest section to even be able to tell the difference, because looking, the left is the old shoe and the right is the new. But just looking at them side by side, on the old shoe, pretty much looks like something that I've worn, for a couple of races, but nothing really too significant. I guess the only telltale signs is being this quite significant, not only line, but just like from a material, when you feel it, it does, feel like it has taken quite a number of, beatings on the road. But just overall, nothing that immediately draws my attention to showing quite significant signs of wear and tear. And I mean, small things like the printing over here versus that's to be expected as a result of just using the shoe in terms of basic running, but nothing really too significant or too dramatic in terms of the overall wear and tear of the shoe. And probably the last bit to kind of make mention to, obviously, as you use the shoe extensively, you do brush up against maybe pavements on the street, but nothing really too significant in terms of the affecting the overall quality of the shoe. And I must say, now about 800 kilometers later, the ride is still really nice. Like, it's still a nice, bouncy, springy kind of shoe. Maybe not quite as fresh as it was, which is to be expected, but not to a point where I need to retire the shoe, which is quite nice because, we invest quite a bit into spending these shoes, retailing for $200 in the US and about 4,000 to 5,000 rands here in South Africa. And so it is quite nice that you can have a shoe that can go quite the distance. Now, the question that I have is, will the Pro 4 age as well as the Pro 3? Because this represented a good value for money and not only the kind of shoe that you kept for only races, but you're going to have to stay tuned to find out how the Pro 4 ages as I start using it for more tempo as well as marathon races. Keep running.